Yesterday was the news of a blockbuster NBA trade in the works that would send Russell Westbrook to the Lakers, marking the third straight season the former league MVP was traded. And Vegas seems to think that the Lakers getting even more buckets will be pretty significant. Ryan, there's just going to be so many buckets there.
Not enough balls.
So many. They're stacked. They got LeBron, of course, AD, Russell Westbrook now. Their title odds bumped up last night with news of the Westbrook trade. LA back to a 4-1 shot to win it all behind the Nets. Mike and Tony now with more on this and our PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon, whose big three would you rather have, the Nets or the Lakers?
What, I can't write in Milwaukee's? Who just won a championship
Sure, go ahead.
a little over a week ago. Tony, I'm not as covetous of these, sort of super team arrangements, these two, as most other people who follow basketball crazily like I do am. I'm just not. I like watching them, obviously. I'm going to love watching them in the new season that's going to start presumably in late October. I think that the Nets, if they can stay healthy, and that's a big phrase for this year too, Tony, I think it takes some time to get used to each other, even if you like each other, and the Nets certainly seem to do that. And I think the Lakers are going to need some time, particularly to play with Russell Westbrook. You know this from Washington this past year. It took him about a quarter of the season, or a third of the season, actually, to get going. And when he got going, my God, it was spectacular. But the time it takes you can finish back up the track, and other teams will have home court, and they don't necessarily need that disadvantage. So I think the Nets narrowly, at least for this year.
So my initial response to this was that I thought it would be the Lakers because the Nets were not healthy. All of them were hurt. And I don't know that all of them come back and they're all healthy. But LeBron's been hurt a lot the last 2 years. Anthony Davis misses a lot of games. Even Westbrook missed games this year. So that's counterbalanced for me. And then I was going to say, well, maybe the Nets because the Nets are so much younger. But they're not so much younger.
They're not.
Durant's going to be 33 this year. Harden will be 32. Westbrook will be 33. And LeBron is 30. LeBron is old, but he's such a great physical specimen. So another counterbalanced argument. The one thing I'll say now, and it probably will sound crazy to you, is I believe at the moment that the West is somehow easier to win for the Lakers than the East is for the Nets.
Ooh. I don't know, Tony. Remember, Denver is going to get back Jamal Murray, and we don't know where some of those other teams are going to land. How good are the Clippers going to be, particularly if Kawhi Leonard is out for a whole year? That may be a feather in your cap in terms of that argument. But I still think the West is so loaded. I mean, Doncic figures to get some help, and Dallas ought to take a step forward. I don't know, but I'm going to take Brooklyn just by a hair. And let's destroy this videotape so I don't have to justify it later.
That's great. You took a hair is something neither you nor I have at the moment.
Don't know much about
so taking them by a hair is very good.
That's right. That's it. We're done.
Also, Westbrook putting the West in Westbrook. He's hanging out there after just one season in the district where he averaged for the fourth time in 5 seasons a triple-double for the year. He heads home to Los Angeles to join LeBron, AD, and the Lakers. The deal agreed to yesterday has LA getting Russ from the Wizards in exchange for LA's number 22 pick last night, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and KCP. The trade isn't official until August 6th when the salary cap becomes official, and when it does, the Lakers are far from done. That's because LA only has 5 players currently on the team, 4 of which are on guaranteed contracts. They have over $120 million allocated next year to their new big three and have about $130 million on the books overall, including dead money. There's a ton to get to, so none better than ESPN NBA front office insider Bobby Marks to break it down now, joining us this morning on SportsCenter. Bobby, good morning. How do the Lakers now fill out the rest of that roster?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do in Los Angeles as far as offseason, and as you saw with that chart, $130 million tied up with five players, $6 million below the luxury tax. But the Lakers do have free agents, Talon Horton-Tucker. They have Alex Caruso they can bring back. They've got bird rights on both players. Keep an eye on what happens to Dennis Schroeder, potentially to use in a sign-and trade to bring back players. But there is still a lot of work to be done as far as filling out all those holes for the Lakers this offseason.
So Westbrook will be the third former MVP to start 4 straight seasons with a different team, going now home back to LA. Westbrook leaving the Wizards after just 1 season. How does this deal impact Bradley Beal's future in the district?
Yeah, I actually like what Washington did on Thursday night. I actually consider them one of the big winners here when they took the Westbrook contract and they broke it up into Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Kyle Kuzma. Players like that. And I think what's going to happen now is that GM Tommy Shepard, he's going to have to sell the future to Bradley Beal. He is going to have to show him how this roster is going to look potentially in 2022, which is next year, when they could have $25 to $30 million in cap space. And you're almost going to have to treat Beal like a free agent. You are going to have to recruit him. He's extension eligible starting on October 1st. And you are going to have to show him what this roster is going to look like, not just now, but also in the future.
Beal entering the last year of that contract, like mentioned, poised to be a free agent next offseason. Bobby Marks joining us this morning on SportsCenter.
Make a pick, but they made the biggest move of the offseason so far, agreeing trade for Wizards guard and LA native Russell Westbrook. The Wizards will receive Kuzma, KCP, Montrez, and the rights to number 22 pick Isaiah Jackson, which has since been dealt to Indiana. The Wizards will also send Lakers 2 future second-round picks. Russell Westbrook is going to be a Los Angeles Laker after all these years. Remember, he played his high school basketball here. He went to UCLA. I'll start with you, Big Game James. Your thoughts when you heard the trade? You like it? You're sold on it? What were some of the things going through your head?
He's an old boy, and he's back home, and I'm totally sold on it, 100%. To be able to acquire a player like Russell Westbrook at this stage of his career, where he pretty much knows what he wants, what he needs to do, and to land him with LeBron at LeBron's stage of his career, he's a closer. He's a proven closer, a proven guy. Comes every night, plays hard. When he gets going, he's not a great three-point shooter, but he puts so much pressure on the defense. He can pull up for those 15-footers, but I think his leadership, let's say LeBron's out of the game, or I think it's someone that, we can rely on with the ball in his hands. I think it's a great mix. He wants to win a championship. He really wants to win a championship, and I think that's a big deal for him, So he's going to do whatever it takes, whatever attitude he needs to have, whatever game he needs to play. I think he and LeBron kind of understand each other. I think it's lethal that we get a player like that. He's got 2 hearts in his chest.
He does.
And he doesn't take nights off.
No, he does not.
Yeah, great calls, James, right there for sure. This guy just doesn't give up. He never stops. He will definitely help the Lakers pace, which was a pretty pedestrian 16th in the NBA last season. That's going to change right now. Don't forget his offensive rebounds, his defensive rebounds, and the thing that he will help immediately with the Lakers. Again, they were 16th in rebounds. Not great, very mediocre. Very good defender still. Very high-end defensive player. One fastest players I've ever seen in my life, and he is now a Laker. I guess not officially. It's going to happen in about a week officially, but both teams have agreed to it. A huge pickup for this franchise.
I mean, he averages triple doubles throughout the whole season. And Ali, I guess, listen, you're going to go on social media. You're going to talk to friends. Everyone's going to have an opinion. What box does it check? How does he fit? All that stuff, and we'll dive into it. But one thing is clear: it is hard to get a future Hall of Famer on your team when you already have a couple others on there. And the Lakers did that.
I think the one thing, because when you talk about boxes, it checks. There's a lot of people talking about the one box that's been preached about, not just this offseason, but for so many offseasons. When you're surrounding a great like LeBron James, and you have the talent and the superstar caliber player Anthony Davis, shooting is a must. And so when you pick up Russell Westbrook and you want to say, but he can't shoot, excuse me. He is a future Hall of Famer. For the last 5 seasons, as we know, he averages a triple-double. He is an enforcer. You talk about the pace, the tempo. What can't this guy do? The stability, the way in which he approached the game, you talked about it. He will not cheat you with effort. This is huge. I said it last week on the show.
You did.
I struggled to step aside and not be excited about this. I'm over the moon, through the sun. The one thing that I will say that I'm really glad about all of this is on the podcast, you were willing to give up yourself for another guy on the West Coast.
And
we got Russell Westbrook and get to keep you.
And I'm staying. I was trading myself and Zeffy, my dog. We were going to leave for 2 years to Portland. We did talk about that. I said I would have done that, but you know what? I get to stay, and we have a future Hall of Famer. I think that is fantastic. Big game.